Let's dive into the newscast with some breaking inputs coming in on the presidential counting that was taking place. As far as the votes were concerned, Droupadi Murmu has taken a huge lead in the first round of the counting. 3.75 lakh votes are for Droupadi Murmu, whereas for Yashwant Sinha, the number is 1.45 lakh. As far as those votes are concerned, clearly Droupadi Murmu taking a lead just by the double in the first round. Let's not forget that this is the kind of edge that Droupadi Murmu was rather expected to have over Yashwant Sinha. For more details, let's quickly go across to Pallavi Ghosh, who's joining us live. Pallavi, this is something that was on expected lines, but as one of the BJP politicians was saying, that the victory is not going to be about just the victory, it is going to be about rather the margin in terms of those number of votes.
Absolutely. It's not about whether she's going to win, because that seems to be absolutely a given. It's actually going to be about the number of with which she wins with, and also how much of a cross-voting that takes place. So the first round of counting is over, and the figures which we are just getting by way of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat is that 540 MPs have voted for Droupadi Murmu, 208 MPs have voted for Yashwant Sinha, 15 are invalid Member of Parliament votes, and this is around 748 total votes, and here I'm talking about the MP votes only. The MP votes counting has been just over. So now we move on to the next round of the state legislatures. But it's very clear that she's had a huge lead ahead of Yashwant Sinha. I think if you talk about the internal calculations on who the poll managers of Yashwant Sinha are, they themselves concede that maximum number of votes are likely to come in from, say, West Bengal. But they also concede the fact that perhaps the victory margin of Droupadi Murmu is going to be substantially high.
Right, Pallavi, thank you for breaking down those numbers for us. As Pallavi was pointing out, that right now what those votes are as far as those numbers are concerned, they are those MP votes that have the counting is now finished in terms of those MP votes. And with that, let's now also shift our attention over to who Droupadi Murmu is, NDA's crucial presidential candidate. Let's have a look.
From the day the NDA picked her as the presidential nominee, Droupadi Murmu was the president in waiting.
श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू इनको राष्ट्रपति का प्रत्याशी घोषित किया गया है एनडीए की तरफ से.
An announcement that did not come as much of a surprise, as in 2017 too, her name had figured in the NDA's shortlist for India's top constitutional office. Ramnath Kovind had then emerged as the dark horse. With the numbers stacked overwhelmingly in the favor of the NDA, her election is high on symbolism and less about the numbers game. An election which is witnessing the changing political axis. A selection that has placed the opposition camp in a quandary. Uddhav Thackeray, forced by the Shiv Sena MPs, broke ranks from allies in Mahavikas Aghadi to back her. TDP's Chandrababu Naidu came out to even campaign for her in Andhra Pradesh. Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, India's only tribal party, had to support as well. After all, she had served as the governor of Jharkhand.
मेरे जो फैमिली बहुत गरीबी है, गरीबी थोड़ा मैं फाइनेंस सियाली उनको सपोर्ट करूं, इसीलिए थोड़ा पढ़ लिख के ऐसा बन जाऊं कि मुझे थोड़ा नौकरी मिल जाए. लेकिन मुझे पॉलिटिक्स में जाना, ये गवर्नर बनना, ये मैं कभी सोची नहीं थी.
64-year-old Droupadi Murmu, low profile and soft-spoken, has generally steered clear of controversy. She was also the only governor to complete a full term in office in Jharkhand, which has had 10 governments in its 2 decades of existence.
जो सेंट्रल ने हम मेरा बहन का नाम लिया ना, हम लोग बहुत खुश में, रायरंगपुर के बासिंदा सब खुश में है। आदिवासी महिला की पहले जो चुना गया ना, वही सबसे खुशी बात है।
पूरा रायरंगपुर के साथ ही उनका बहुत अच्छा संपर्क रहा है। सबका उन्होंने हमेशा साथ और सहयोग दिया और बहुत ही प्यार भरा संपर्क रहा है उनका सबों के साथ में। हमारे किसी भी प्रोग्राम में वो हमेशा आगे रहते थे और सबकी बातें सुनते थे।
तो काउंसिलर से होके विधायक भी बन गए, विधायक बन के वो बेस्ट अवार्ड भी उनको मिला है, नीलकंठ पुरस्कार मिला है उनको। उसके बाद वो मंत्री भी बने, सबका साथ मिल के काम करते हैं।
Born into a Santali farmer's home in Uperbeda village of Mayurbhanj district, Murmu persisted with her studies even though she had to leave her village after class 7 in order to do so. With the help of relatives, she completed her schooling in Bhubaneswar and then joined Ramadevi Women's College. After her studies, Murmu got a job with the Odisha's Irrigation and Power Department. She, however, quit the job after she got married to Shyam Charan Murmu, a bank employee, and moved to Rairangpur, a town about 20 kilometers from her native village. She started teaching at the Sri Aurobindo Integral Education and Research Center in Rairangpur. It was here that her work with a Santhal organization, where she had enrolled in the 1990s, caught the attention of the BJP's Raj Kishore Das. Back then, it was a party that did not have much political influence in the state. Seeing potential in Murmu, he asked her to contest for councillor in the Rairangpur Notified Area Council. In 1997, she became councillor and later vice chairperson of the Rairangpur Corporation.
2000 में 90 से 5 साल का ये तो आप जानते हैं टर्म होता है, लेकिन बीच में मुझे जो जनरल इलेक्शन आ गया, मुझे 2000 में टिकट दिया गया। उन्होंने कहा आपको तो लड़ना है, मैंने बोला मेरे बच्चे छोटे छोटे हैं, मुझे ये तो काउंसिलर में थी, वाइस चेयरमैन थी, तो टाउन के अंदर मुझे घूमना पड़ता था। फिर अभी तो मुझे पूरा क्षेत्र में घूमना पड़ेगा, तो टाइम नहीं दे पाऊंगी। फिर मुझे थोड़ा, मैंने बोला ठीक है चलिए। बच्चे भी बोले ठीक है माँ, तुम लड़ना चाहती हो तो लड़ो।
She served twice as a BJP MLA in Odisha and also worked as a minister in the Naveen Patnaik government from the 2002 to 2004, when the BJP and Biju Janata Dal ran a coalition government. She was awarded the Neelkant Award for the Best Legislator by the Odisha Legislative Assembly. Droupadi Murmu's candidature signifies the BJP's efforts to bring the tribal and other marginalized communities to the mainstream. A convincing example of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. It's an outreach to the strong 10.42 crore scheduled tribes population of India, who are largely in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Jharkhand and Maharashtra and other states in Northeast. The BJP hopes the message of the first tribal woman president of India will help them expand their footprints in tribal belts across the country and earn immediate electoral dividend in the upcoming polls. The move comes ahead of assembly elections in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. The four states have 128 seats reserved for scheduled tribes, of which the BJP had won just 35 in the last assembly elections. The BJP is also hoping that her candidature will strengthen its political hold in Odisha and get a foothold in Jharkhand, where it lost the elections in 2019.
आज भी हम कहते हैं कि आदिवासियों में ओडिशा में संथाल प्रोग्रेसिव है, लेकिन इतना भी प्रोग्रेसिव नहीं है कि वो दूसरों के साथ कॉम्पीट कर पाए। इसीलिए और भी थोड़ा अभी भी फाउंडेशन स्टेज में है। आगे जाने के लिए महिला को और पुरुष को दोनों को आगे आना होगा, जैसे परिवार चलाने के लिए दोनों की आवश्यकता है।